day 16, and I've just come back from the hospital. A little bit of a tiring day. So I was extremely anxious about this follow-up visit with the neurosurgeon. I felt like things were healing, but really didn't know for sure and didn't know anything about the break. So got to the hospital and they sent me for x-rays. Oddly enough, the first x-ray was that they sent me for was of my lumbar spine. In fact, the first and only x-ray. And until I got to the x-ray where the technician looked at me and said, "Why are they asking for a lumbar spine x-ray?" I said, "I don't know. Clearly the issue is up here in my cervical spine." Then they had to go back. Lots of waiting around and until everybody could figure out what was going on. And they ended up doing an x-ray of my cervical spine, my neck, and my lumbar. Turns out there's nothing wrong with my lumbar, so I don't really know what that was all about. Anyway, I saw the neurosurgeon. He actually showed me the break on the CT scan, which was quite interesting because I had no idea where I broke my C1 and C2. It turns out that it's on the outside wall of the C1 and C2, and basically a vertical break right down the side of the C1 and C2. So it went right through the C1 and the C2, which was a little thinner. So that was interesting to me, a little scary to see that actual fracture on the CT scan. But what he explained to me is that it was indeed a stable fracture, and the reason for that is that all the muscles and ligaments around it in that particular area and with that type of fracture actually hold the bones more or less in place so that there is a stable healing. If the fracture had been unstable, that is to say in an area where the bones and ligaments, or rather the muscles and ligaments, couldn't hold it in place, or whether it could move or jiggle around, then they might have had to have done surgery, because at that point, with the sharp edges of the bones that have fractured, they could affect nerve endings and, worse, your spinal column. So all this to say, I was very lucky in that the fracture was on the outside of the vertebrae, and that because of that, my nerves and the spinal column was not impacted. So it is healing. Things look pretty good. Unfortunately, I have to wear this brace for another at least 6 weeks. I have a follow-up with the surgeon in 4 weeks to make sure things are continuing to heal, but I'm stuck with my little friend here for another 6 weeks until things, I guess, knit together. I can move around, I can walk, I can do kind of regular daily things. I can't do anything that's going to be abrupt or cause anything that might shift my neck in a way that may move that fracture. And also I have to be careful. I can't lift anything heavy. So other than the fact that I'm going to be stuck with this, I don't necessarily have to lie around in bed all day, which is the good news. Although my plan is to be extremely careful to make sure that I don't do anything that jeopardizes the healing process with the bones that are clearly knitting together. So the plan going forward is kind of much of the same, maybe with a little bit more movement and activity, but nothing that would in any way disrupt what I understand is at least a positive healing process. So good news with the healing process, bad news with the neck brace, but I can't complain. I I still feel pretty lucky that the damage wasn't worse than it was. So I'm going to continue to check in every now and then. I've been doing this daily now for 16 days. I think I may continue to do it daily. I don't want to kind of get tedious in my videos, so I'll do the videos when I can, just to check in and let everybody know how things are going. I'm not going back to work quite yet. I've still got a couple more weeks that I'm going to give myself to really give the bones a chance to knit together and encourage that healing process, and then I'll go back to work, and hopefully the computer work won't be too taxing, but I'll do what I can. The interesting other thing that came up on the x-ray is that apparently I have some arthritis in my neck, which I found very interesting. Who knew? And the doctor showed me these little kind of bony sort of spikes that it turns out is arthritis, probably from all the computer work I've done my whole life. So on day 16, I'm ending on a positive note. I'm pretty tired coming home from the hospital, and my neck is pretty sore and uncomfortable. But all in all, I'm happy to hear that the healing is going well, and I'm going to make darn sure that that continues. I'll check in with you again. Take care. See you soon.